cut out, so I'm making another recording, seeing if I can see the cuts on my face with this camera. It catches on my digital camera. I've got hundreds of photos of the cuts on my face and the disfigurement to my face that they've been doing. Seeing if I can see the cuts. I know the chunks of hair, the short bits. That's because of their constant attack since 2017, the cult rituals to hair, which is one of their items they use, and what they've done to my hair. I'm a spiritual person, but I know these people are using, some of them, the cult kind of side of stuff. It's probably not the cult itself, it may be, but I'm just dark, what is it? Magical, well, not magic, I don't like even using that word. It's dark, ritualistic stuff, negative, like the shit, like voodoo dolls and all kinds of stuff, where they would stick them with pins and all, even though they may not be using voodoo dolls, but the negative energy that they're trying to do to people, and they're using the computers, and I know it's people in, or people of all, no matter where they work, and they've got witnessed and thousands of people making their comments into, well, more than just thousands, and for the last 5 years doing their stuff, as well as different workplaces and everything, and them cutting my head, face implant in the teeth. They've been attacking my head even more so than anything since then. So I don't know whether it shows up on that side. It goes down the side, up under my chin. I know who did go through a motorbike accident, and I certainly know he had cuts as well as those marks on the side, so whatever him or his nurse had done to him, or them trying to journey his cuts and scars off his face onto mine. He's one of the suspects. There's other people, obviously, that may have had cuts on their face, but some people trying to take over somebody else's body. They're cult rituals. So I don't know whether that's shown up, but on my face, or what it is. I know the disfigurements. I watched the other one back and I could see my mouth, how it's one side is up, kind of opposite, not opposite, what do you call it? I'm trying to disfigure is a better word, as well as the blinking and the other rubbish, although I haven't been asleep. It's coming up 24 hours. But it's beside the point. It's not a stroke, it's either. I certainly know this is them. They're constant trying to fragment, target my head with the fragments. Fragments of my skull. I hear it and feel it all the time, as well as other victims that I may be picking up on that have been put under attack as well. They haven't gone and got warrants to search, and I certainly know Victoria Police. I have witnessed some, a lot, and South Australian Police. I know they can hear me. I know they have had me under surveillance, or still do, because I know they've aired it around. And I certainly know they have not gone over the last, must be 13 months, since about February or April, in regards to 2018, that I was yelling, have been stating to get warrants to search, and they haven't. Surrounding houses, they haven't. So I certainly know, I strong belief there's victims in there, and I know my predictions going back to the 70s, and they indicated their houses and other stuff, and I certainly know some of the voices that I've heard. I know those victims, well, part of themselves, they are still out there alive, but they've gone through trauma, which I know I'm going to hold you accountable. All of you down to what the disfigurements to my face as well. You're the ones by law who are supposed to have done your job Instead, you're stalking me, trying to commit your murder, and I certainly know how some of you are off your own, and same as your medical. You go about my opinion of your corruption amongst yourselves down to your the complication of surgery or whatever. I don't believe it so much anymore. Sometimes it may be that, but not all the time. And technically, you shouldn't have phones on in a hospital. I don't know why you thought going to digital you should have them on in there. If they tampered with devices that you thought you could target my face, and I certainly know some of the victims, including family members of mine, that are very much guilty. As far as I'm concerned, I know my facts in my case. It's not me that doesn't know who they are, even though they're trying to disfigure my face, thinking you can score a heap of money from my business. You have no entitlement, neither does anybody else in regards to my business, ZARKEACH Design. I know everyone is, for a fact, is guilty. I have not put my products out for sale, actually, and no one's approached me awake in a conscious state of mind since I came up with the date that was stamped on my stuff, the copyright. Instead, you've put me under further attack and death threats against my daughters and Keanu Reeves as well last year, and actually more than just last year, and some other celebrities. And I already know you never got warrants to search. None of you. And I'm very much a witness, a victim, and someone who is involved in my own investigations into personal and business matters, and I will be prosecuting eventually in a courtroom. I ain't dying anytime soon for those that are trying to commit their attempted murder, and I will, whether I'm dead or alive, I can press my charges. I have read and been learning law in, over the last 5 years for the aggravated assault by, but more than that, attempted murder by their behalf and the lies they told in regards to Victoria Police and the lies they've stated. The matter at hand is a lot bigger than what they stated with the isolated incidents. The overall matter at hand constitutes a terrorist attack on me and my daughters and my life and my business, and I have never employed any police officer in regards to my business, ZARKEACH Design, and anyone else. I know you are all fraudulent and guilty, and you had no care at all in sense you're supposed to under Section 14 of the Crimes Act or Criminal Procedures Act by way of criminal negligence. You supposed to have a duty of care, and you've shown none for those victims because you like to put people in prison. Well, some of you belong there. You're officers, police officers that are on the take. You're also medical that are belong on malpractice lawsuit against you, or to lose your license as well. Oh yeah, you justify it, you think you're doing an advance in science, or just a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde syndrome, and I certainly know you belong in prison. I know my charges since I've been forced to hand. I have written your charge sheets and your preliminary brief and other stuff, and I am getting there. It's not me that doesn't know yet. Do you want to make another comment that I just heard? Because everything you do and say is going to be held against you in a courtroom someday, and I'm not police. I said I stand against you in a courtroom for the crimes you've committed, and there is other police out there if you haven't tried to kill them. Your auditors. Or the fact is they've committed treason, technically, and they're going along with the general public to commit their crimes against my business and concealing and covering up evidence in regards to that. As well as their conspiracies, corrupt public morals, conspiracy to tort, everything else, and their fraudulent lies, and I know they have made lies up. Anyway, I don't know whether it showed those cuts on my face, and I certainly know I have photos, hundreds, to prove they are there, and they're very visible cuts on my face. I could feel someone today going through my eyeballs. They stalked me ahead of time. I also know they implanted and left 2 colouring books with scenes set out of future events and staged events. I wouldn't say they're necessarily psychic. They may have been or may not, because that's why they need me on video. And they left them and implanted them in my previous address prior to me being homeless for 2.5 to 3 years before I got this house. And I certainly know they've put this one under attack, and it's pretty obvious to the millions that walk around Melbourne, Spencer Street, considering I know one of the perpetrators openly discusses their abuse to me and terrorism, and the Victoria Police have not done anything but initiated and went along with sex crimes that apparently has been committed upon me when I'm asleep, as well as in Little Bourke Street in Melbourne, where they air it because enough have been gloating, and whoever else have been discussing it with, as well as the attempted murder of my daughters, the threats of beheadings of my daughters, and by someone with a deep voice, and I'm hoping it's not any of you celebrities, but also threats of beheadings of a celebrity as well. So it's not me that doesn't know. I very much have caught yous on plenty of recordings. You'll do stuff to fabricate and deny it, but I certainly know that I'm never backing down on this, and I do have you for statements made in 2011 and prior. Then there's also a matter of my writings, and I do have writings that this is a crime and a conspiracy that's been happening, and I will be making contact with a certain public figure at some point in regards to them possibly having a speech switched on them, which led to their a takeover of their role in the public eye. And I know how it was done. I certainly know it was my speech, and strong belief that it's one similar that they've used my writings. Why they stated he was unwell, of course it would have been when he was what was it? Well, didn't have the correct words, because I know some have someone write a speech for them and they go over it and read it. They have some people do that, or they may have already had it written, but somebody's gone through it. So, not only attack on me, but well, yeah. However, it's worked the whole time. Attack on me, attack on my business, my stuff, attack on Australia, attack on my daughters. They're premeditated setup, and technically an attack on everybody's child for the future, because you stole my stuff through time, and I certainly know these are crimes that have been committed, and you're just concealed because you had a way of covering up, and you didn't ever, you don't want anyone to know. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. State of England versus Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which was a case of where they'd never heard of serial killers. The male kind of laughed through my voice box then. It's not me that doesn't know. I also have on tape the male making comments out my throat on top of mine and trying to husky and alter my voice box, and one of it to trying to take over somebody's body. Their new way of killing someone. Anyway, I don't know. I already know they'll be gleefully thinking that was amusing, them targeting my face. The occult rituals that they've done within this house, and I certainly know whether it's from the person who owns it, or whether it's other people that have a dirty habit of constantly doing it and you thought it was ghostly ways, or some other stuff. But I certainly know it's not a different timing. I certainly know you're pulling things out on as spiritual or religious, because they have a spiritual aspect. Or some of you that don't say that you have either, you're just doing it because it's fun, it's a new thing you can do. Or being able to do the whole time, but pulling props out and putting them in, things to screw with someone's head, psychological abuse. And I certainly know you use cult markings, I've known my case matters, and you owe me about 50,000 in renovations to this house. And I know your scam and con artist in regards to someone, and I don't know whether it's been challenged before in the courts, but in regards to through public housing, that you're making them pay for when they leave a percentage of it if anything needs fixing for 5 years after they leave. So, and it gets less each year goes past, but that's a scam as far as I'm concerned, because someone can leave it and it's neat and tidy and it's acceptable, and someone comes in and trashes it and then they have to cough up and pay because the other person trashed it. I certainly know it's a major con and scam. I certainly know the floors are looking a bit rough, and I certainly know I've had my dogs inside, so I certainly will be fixing that anyway, but I know they did occult rituals to my floorboards and everything else. I know the different renovations they've done. I know this isn't, I'm not the first person they've done it to. And I certainly know it's a scam they've been pulling up here, and I'm strong belief the different scams and cons for a long time. Anyway, that's it. It is the 30th of the 1st, 2020, and the male has made his comments around my body, and there is a lot in public eye, including the AFL. I'll mention them as well. I won't mention their names, but I certainly know they are high up there with the criminal activities, a handful that I know of in regards to this, and it's not the first time that they've been charged, including through the AFL, that I strongly believe they're involved in this, having me under surveillance and using me business illegally and all kinds of stuff, and stalking and violating me and using my body to avoid their drug tests. Here's another reasoning I would believe some of the sports people have used me. They also are using phones in a way to relay drugs around. There's a chemical that is excreted from your phones. Some of you may be able to see it, some may not, but I've seen it come out of my phone. So, and it smells, it's got, and I never knew what it was like. It was only because I came across someone who was doing it, and that's their own choice for their own bodies. But for someone talking through or around my body, don't tell me to be careful. I'm against drugs in any form, technically. It's somebody's own choice to take it. You crawling through my body, you have not given me a choice. You violate my body, you arsehole, like a blood-filled syringe or a loaded gun, you and your phones and all the other shit. So I'm very much against you drug pushers. I think you belong in prison. There's a big difference between someone who just walks up and asks you doing if you do drugs and you say no and they're fine and they wander off, to someone what you're doing, violating my body and crawling through it, or thinking that you should be forced medication through your medical. Everyone has a right not to take drugs. Do you remember those slogans? Or everyone has a right to, if you're tired, pull over, have a rest, 15 minutes. Been right along the highway for decades. Pull over a rest area, have a 15-minute rest, or have a rest. And knowing that most people sleep longer than 15 minutes or whatever it is they need before they keep going. Oh, it's not me that doesn't know what hypocritical is. I've read, it's stated what the date is. And my name is Christine Parker. Miss Christine Vicky Parker. My face, I had still been drugged at that time by the mental health in regards to fraudulently. That is another case matter anyway. I am very dead set against yous who target people because you don't like how they speak. Which I know what the word mental means, and I've written a speech on it, and I certainly know you don't have a clue what the word mental means. Technically, you just put it behind a heap of mumbo-jumbo. You've tried to cause a cognitive impairment with a slur to speech by those drugs that if one doesn't work or have side effects, we'll try a different one. I'm not your lab rat. I'm not your experiment test buddy that you had a right to target me with, and I will be charging eventually in that matter. 2 states, because I never had slur to speech until you put your, as far as I'm concerned, illegal drug into my body. So it's not me that doesn't know. I don't do drugs either, and I barely drink alcohol. So it's not me that doesn't know that you've violated my human rights in a big way. More than that, you committed attempted murder to shut me up from speaking of my childhood abuse. And when it had occurred in my with my daughters, something that occurred in their dad's care and who he was living with at the time, something was put in place so it wouldn't occur again. And then you targeted me in regards to that. I know what you do, shutting someone up. Or thinking you can get me out of the way so you could go and violate my daughters, and I have evidence against you, even though they will have forgotten, because that is what abused children go through. Yous are facing major criminal charges. A long list of suspects. I would have really remained silent, because everything you do and say is going to be held against you in a courtroom someday, and I do know that I have a right to make citizens arrest as well if I need to. I'm not the one who's guilty, yous very much are. And also in contempt of court since 2018 with the taunts you yell out at me. I'm in a line of defence, warding off a constant attack, which is what defensive means.